industry. He's a straight shooting business type of a man. After this period here at the lunch break, go up and say hi to him, shake his hand, look him in the eye. The guy absolutely understands the numbers better than anybody that we've met so far. My wife is close behind understanding the comp plan and the numbers. Right? It's not the platform of Leaf is not super complicated. It's actually a super simple process and a super simple platform, and that's ultimately what the Visionary Founders' goal is, to simplify it for all of us so that the mainstream average person can do it. Anybody can do it. So the gentleman coming up, 18 years in the banking industry, after that long career in the banking industry, he said, I'm sick and tired of the corporate world. He was in San Francisco in the Silicon Valley, venture capital, high banking type of a business. He actually left that and went and became an entrepreneur and actually got into a number of different entrepreneurial ventures. But he said, you know what, I'm sick and tired of this. I'm going to go do something totally different. He and his wife went down to Vegas and they started dealing cards. And by the time he was done, he was general manager of 3 different huge casinos in Las Vegas. He's overseen groups of 800 people or more employees. He's done the corporate side of things, and he's also been on the field side here with network marketing. Since 1994, been with some of the biggest companies in the world. And we're super, super excited to be introducing you all to the Master Associate of Leaf International here for the first time on the West Coast. Give everyone a Leaf!
So before we get started, Mike, cell phones?
Oh, yes.
I turned mine off.
Okay, everybody turn off your cell phone?
Because that always happens.
I know, it always does.
Okay, what jerk didn't turn their cell phone off? It's in my back pocket. That's pretty good. Thank you, Lynn. Hey, if you guys don't mind, I kind of have a little bit of routine that I do. So I appreciate the intro, but I got to give it my flavor. I hope you guys are okay with that. So yes, I started at a very early age in the banking industry in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho, of all places. And it was a rough year. They called me an installment loan collector.
Oh, God.
You know what those guys do, right? Hello, Mrs. Jones. I'm calling this Mike from the bank, and your payment, it's not here. I did that. But it was 80, 81, 82. I did that for 3 years. And if you remember back in those days, if you're old enough to remember that far back, it was a rough time. In my part of the country, logging industry was moving to Georgia, which was bad for Idaho. The mining industry was collapsing in Silver Valley. Real estate market was plummeting. Interest rates were skyrocketing, and it was a terrible time to do what I did for a living. I got shot at, yelled at, cried on. It was rough. But that was the beginning of my banking career. I rode that train a total of 18 years. I kind of floated in and out of banking for a couple of different years. I knew I wanted out. I just couldn't figure out what was going to get me out. Now, when you're a banker, no offense, Kim, but when you're a banker, you're pretty sure you know it all. And it's funny because today when I run into bankers, it's still true. They really do think they know it all. So when I finally was at that point in my life where I knew everything, I decided to run my own business. And within 3 years went flat broke. And I'm talking, you're supposed to laugh when I say flat broke. Because it's thanks, guy. But I'm talking broke, the kind where you're living out of your car broke. I mean, I still had an office, and I still had a membership at the gym, and it was a pretty nice car that I was living out of, but I was that broke. You go all in, and you're like, that's it. I'm not giving up. I'm smarter than everybody else. I'm not giving up. I'm going to see this thing through. And I got down to one day, I'm going through drive-through at McDonald's. I could still afford that, even though I was flat broke. But the girl handed me my change, and the Augusta wind came up, and it blew. Now, most guys, you're too proud. It's just a couple bucks that, I'm not going to go chase that. Because the wind was blowing pretty hard. That was breakfast tomorrow morning. It was going to be my last meal. I was so fast out of that truck, running out into the highway to grab those $2, put it back in my pocket. That kind of broke. So, this is about the time that I met my wife. And it was kind of odd because she loved me. And I'm like, girl, I'm flat broke. I can't even invite you over to the house. I'm flat broke. And she still loved me. I thought that was pretty cool. We're still together today, 3 beautiful kids. But what we kind of went off the deep end. I was going through a midlife crisis. She didn't care. She was along for the ride. And we ended up in Las Vegas. Of all places, we ended up in Las Vegas. And at a pretty mature point in my life, when I had to swallow my pride, because remember, I knew everything, right? I'm standing in front of 7 different people, and I'm dealing cards in blackjack in Las Vegas. And I had a blast doing it, because I do like to entertain a little bit. But what a humbling experience. Did that for about a year. Dealt craps, dealt roulette, dealt blackjack. Worked my way up through that career. Put a suit on. 3 years later, I found myself running casinos. I was a general manager of a casino. Now, I fast-tracked in that career because I had a little bit of a management experience, in the banking industry, so that kind of was on my side. I'm a spreadsheet fanatic, so I can analyze a business, any business. It doesn't matter if it's casinos, but I was teaching